Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Thanks for tuning in. I've got 2 hours to get out and do a little fishing, and we're gonna get out. It's such a nice day. It's 73 degrees. Again, we're in the middle of October at this point. It's really pretty ridiculous, the weather we're having. The water is still 64 degrees. I mean, it's just really crazy. So I'm gonna get out. I've gotten a lot of questions from you guys pertaining to fishing square bills, so I'm going to get out and show you how I fish a square bill. Really what it comes down to is beating that thing up. A square bill is made to come through cover with the bill on it. It's made to deflect off cover. So I love to hit it in stumps, beat it up on laydowns, grind it through rocks, do all of that. It's really about making contact and beating it up. So I'll show you some of that and walk you through some of the casts that I like to make and how I like to line up those casts. So stick with us. We're getting ready to make our run right now. Okay guys, we just pulled up to our first spot. There's 3 different types of cover I like to fish with a square bill. First is rock. The next would be isolated stumps, and then laydowns as well would be the third type. So in this case, our bait of choice is a Berkley Squarebill 5.5, so it'll run down in that 5-foot range on a long cast. I'm throwing it on 15-pound 100% Berkley fluorocarbon on a CB 905 blended rod. So you can see I've got a more moderate action here, which I like when throwing crankbaits to allow the fish to suck the bait in. On an Abu Garcia Revo winch, I like a little bit slower gear ratio speed reel when I'm working crankbaits, just to kind of allow me to control the crankbait a little bit more. But in this case right here, we've got some rock that's running off of this island right here that can be a good place just to catch fish. And when I'm fishing the square bill, I kind of like to do a couple of different retrieves. The first is just break it up, you know, hit the bottom, stop, burn it a little bit, stop. You're just really doing a little bit of everything with the reel. You're trying to keep it on the bottom, but not from getting stuck. So I burn it around a little bit and just kind of slow reel and pop it and twitch it, just to try to get something, you know, a little different going. I do not like straight retrieves. I always like to mix in a couple of reel turns or something that's a little bit different. So that's one retrieve. The other retrieve would be just to do a sweep. So I like to kind of just reel it down. In this case, guys, I'm only fishing a couple feet of water. So I like to reel it down and just kind of slow sweep. Kind of reel my slack in, just slow sweep. Because it's only 2 foot of water, so I have no problem keeping my bait on the bottom. And I'm just trying to kind of just work it through those rocks, kind of feather it around, and it just gives the fish a little bit more time to look at it in this dirtier water. So those are the 2 retrieves that I really like to do. It's just, you know, a pretty straightforward bait. I just want to really emphasize to try to break up the cast, and you're really trying to hit objects, whether that's the rocks on the bottom or a stump or a lay down or a pole timber. You really want to try to make contact with something just to create that reaction strike, the reaction strike. So we're going to work around here for a couple minutes and we'll head on to the next spot. There's one. Oh, I just pulled off. Dang it. Did not feel big. There's, oh, God dang. There's one. Not a big one. Not a big one at all. Little smallie. move to a secondary rock spot, and it's just a current break with a little rock on it. Usually a fish here. Not the size we're after, but usually a fish here. All right guys, so probably my favorite thing to fish with a square bill is isolated pieces of wood. So in this case, we've got a lay down tree. It's all by itself. It's just on a sand flat. You know, you get a lot of dugout, deeper water around that. So the way I like to approach it, if it's a lay down, I like to cast directly parallel to the tree. I feel like you get stuck a lot less and you also catch a lot more fish. If it's a stump, then I don't really care unless you've got a specific side that you really want to fish to. But in this case, you know, I'm going to make my first cast. I'm going to try to make it parallel to the log because, you know, you have those dugout trenches on both sides of the tree. So that's what I'm shooting for here, is hopefully we got a fish that's hanging out just in that trench around that tree. And that trench is probably 2 or 3 feet on both sides of the tree. In some instances it may only be on one side or maybe in the front. You may have one part of it maybe completely silted in, you know, and the other part's got the hole around it. In this case, that was a cast I made way off to the side. Not a good cast, and I can tell it's definitely shallower there because I'm pounding bottom a lot faster. But really what I'm going to try to do anytime I'm fishing a piece of wood, I gotta be really cognizant of the fact that I could get stuck. So I'm gonna just try to do a slow retrieve, and anytime I hit something, I'm gonna pause it just to let that bait rise a little, which is also gonna be where you get a lot of those bites. So I'm really just kind of trying to slowly swim it through there and try to get a fish to react to it without getting stuck. You know, if I burned it through there right away, chances are good I'd probably get stuck if I hit something. But I'm really not trying to you know, burn it right in there unless I know I'm not going to get stuck. So in this case, I'm just trying to reel it through there and hopefully get one to come out and eat it. You know, if I know it's a really good stump, you can also slow down and pitch it and try to generate strikes from that standpoint too. But I do feel like you can really get, you know, aggressive fish to come out of the trees with a square bill versus going and flipping them up. You know, a lot of times in this type of stuff, they see that pitching bait so much more than a crankbait. So I'm just going to try to reposition a little bit. Just give myself a little bit different angle to see if that's what I need to generate that strike. Because, you know, one thing you definitely want to do is make a lot of casts. If it's a nice looking target, you're probably going to need to make several casts to it to try to get that fish to bite. And it's not necessarily that's, you know, how many it takes to get the fish to bite. It's just that how many it takes to sometimes get your bait by the fish. You know, this is a big log. This log probably is 40 feet long. It's got a couple of different branches, and, you know, there's a lot of different potential casts I can make to get a fish to bite. And just because I make 2 or 3 doesn't mean I brought it by the juice spot. You know, like I was mentioning, there's definitely key strike zone areas. So you know, if I fish a tree like this, I'm going to try to make probably 6-7 casts just to see, just so I feel really comfortable in saying, yeah, nobody's home. Right there. That's what we're talking about, guys. That's a nice smallmouth hanging up in super shallow water. I mean, he hit on the other side of the log and we had to pull him up and over. Nice skinny river fish, probably 17-incher. All right, guys, we pulled up on our third piece of cover that I like to fish here, and it's a junk bait. We're just on a river stretch here that's got everything. It's a shallow flat, lots of gravel, isolated rock, isolated trees, isolated stumps, everything. But the Squarebill is so good for that because I can cover water. You know, every depth from here on out to the boat, it's gonna find me those pieces that I can't visually see with my eyes, which is a huge thing. And it's just a relatively weedless bait, you know, and it's a really good bait to generate strikes. So I'm gonna just kind of go down this bank, see if I can get a few more bites on it and end the night, head in for some dinner, and hopefully catch another one or two for you. That fish right there, guys. I mean, he ate it really good, but I gotta tell you, that fish right there, I would never have caught if I was throwing something, if I was flipping to the bank. He was sitting way out under this tree. I had already brought it out through the area that I would have thought was the right area to fish. And, you know, that's where the Squarebill comes in handy. Like, I never would have caught that fish if I was pitching a bait. I mean, it's a nice 15-inch smallmouth. But the point is, I caught it because of the bait I was throwing. So today, we've caught a fish junk fishing, we've caught a fish off fishing isolated laydowns, and we caught a little fish off of a little rock point. That's the type of stuff where a bait like this Berkley Squarebill will come in handy for you. That's one of the reasons I love it. You can cover a ton of water and just really catch a lot of fish that you wouldn't have normally caught throwing something else. So I'm gonna get back at it. I got about 25 minutes still left in the day, and I'm gonna head in for some dinner at that point. But I hope this was helpful, guys. It's really fun to get you out on the water and show you exactly how I fish a bait. I hope it's helpful for you guys. If it is, let me know what techniques you'd like me to show you. Leave a comment, let me know. Otherwise, hit that like button, give it a share on social media, and stay tuned. More tips and tricks coming out tomorrow.